Welcome back to the High Value Man Conversation. This is episode 20, and this is a very special episode, my friends. We are introducing a brand new partnership with Transcend Company, and I have the opportunity to interview Jesse Kessler, the CMO of Transcend, as well as Brendan, the co-founder and executive director, a U.S. veteran, 19 years of service, former Green Beret, all-around badass, and both of these men are on a mission to help men take their health back. This is a powerful conversation. We're talking about hormones, peptides, how to age into your 40s, 50s, and 60s like a 20-year-old, how to recover faster, feel better, and take full control of your mood, your muscle, and your mindset by becoming an advocate for your personal health. Without further ado, let's hop into the episode. All right, we got Jesse Kessler, father, husband, and CMO for Transcend Company, the source for your peptides and hormones and all that male health and female health too. But Jesse, thanks for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, dude. I know we were just talking offline about testosterone. So I think the big topic of this conversation will be around men's health, men's hormones, testosterone, bedroom, sex stuff, all the stuff the guys don't really want to talk about. But I know we're two dudes that have no problem talking about it. But there was a stat that I shared with you that I'd love to kind of kick off to get our listeners engaged in this. But there's a stat that I read recently. Men as a whole, our testosterone levels have dropped 20% as a whole globally within the last 20 years. I know that we see that in a lot of different ways in regards to a lot more passive men, a lot more like nice guys, kind of like a weak, softer man that is kind of all around. I'm curious, like if you've noticed that, and I know you have in your line of work, but why you might think that testosterone is on the decline as a whole.
Well, I haven't heard that percentage that you mentioned. The 20% on the decline. We have known for years that there has been a huge decline. We're seeing guys in their 20s and 30s having lower testosterone than guys in their 40s and 50s. You know, It's been kind of crazy. It's been a bigger decline over the past couple of years, but I've seen it for 7 years now going on. There's a ton of potential reasons that could be. Some people say the plastics and the packaging of our foods, not getting stuff from the ground anymore with all of our processed foods. Some even blame it on marijuana or partying in college years as well. But sure. I think it has to do with the food intake and just the world we live in now.
Crappier food and more time sitting down, not as active, not doing a lot of the man stuff. That makes sense. Tell me though, in your perspective, I know that we kind of know what the testosterone is, but our listeners may not. How does testosterone, when it's lower or when it's higher, affect the average guy?
I'm sure people have heard testosterone or see it all over the internet right now. It helps with pretty much everything that helps with a male. Confidence, energy, even sleep, sex drive, cognitive function. It's preventative as well, but it's one of the male's biggest hormones. But you have to remember that it's just one hormone out of many, where a lot of individuals just tackle that one hormone and not to look at others, but it does have a big impact on your overall male self. Actually, females need it as well, just not at a high dosage like males.
And what I heard you say that I want to pull on is a little bit, if you are in the exploration of testosterone or testosterone replacement, which we're going to talk about, you got to look at all the other gamut of hormones that are affecting testosterone, because it's not just the one thing. You can't just inject one thing and think that you're going to be doing great, because there's a very complex system inside the body that we have to pay attention to. And so the details are super important. The devils are in details in that. Tell me a little bit about you though, Jesse. Like we're going to dive deep into TRT and all that stuff. And I want to hear about your story. How long have you been with Transcend? What's your background in it? Maybe some do's and don'ts and all of that, but I want to know a little bit more about you.
Absolutely. So Transcend was founded 2 years ago by a couple of us in a basement. And I've been in the industry for about 7 years. I found a passion right when I started. I kind of did door-to-door sales, if you will, doing my own research, doing the gym tables as well, setting up at different places, just wanting to tell people about optimizing your hormones and the importance of getting blood work done. I've had to go against a lot of physicians who were taught and ways of the past. And I also get to be a human guinea pig when this stuff comes out too. So I've worked with thousands of individuals over the years to help optimize their hormones. Really started just from my own experience. I've been on testosterone for 7-8 years as well. Another really cool thing is we introduced a protocol where we could create your natural testosterone again, so you're able to have children.
That's right. Yeah, you just had a baby. Girl. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. About 9.5 months ago, we had her. So that was really cool. But we just found that with this passion of wanting to help others with the type of medicine that we are able to use with our compounding pharmacies and through networks of physicians, we can reach out to more individuals with social media. Mm-hmm. And we have a greater reach. And we just stay true to our core, where we just want to reach out to as many people as possible to help and share our information that we know. And of course, do it the safe way. So start with the right kind of blood work and teaching individuals so they can make the right decisions for themselves. I am a father, like you said. I was a college athlete, and I actually did a lot of partying back in the day, but I kind of switched that over to my passion here, just really enjoying helping others. And we created an incredible company here. We now have over 40 employees. We just expanded again. We are growing very rapidly because people are now taking their health into their own hands. With the pandemic, we saw a lot of different experiences. So now we can do Zooms, right? Now we can do Zoom calls with physicians. We educate individuals about medications and things that can help them. We can send medications right to doorsteps, so you don't have to go anywhere, but just to a local lab corp to get blood work done.
I want to pull on that comment you said, taking health into your own hands. Because when you think about what you can do and you can optimize your hormones, if you have low testosterone, that's one thing where you're just going to start feeling better when you get your levels right, because it's going to be such a natural boost. But then if you're already doing pretty good, there's this whole other realm that we talk about as kind of high level elite optimizers. Like there's not just feeling good. I want to thrive. I want to thrive at my maximum potential. I want to recover faster. I want to sleep better. I want to enjoy the bedroom better, like all of it. Like there's so many ways we optimize lifestyle, not just by dealing with it, right? I love the starting in a basement. Obviously, you guys have scaled much outside of the basement, from the last few years. But what was the reason why you started in the basement? Like what was the initial cause for all this?
Oh, we started over at our CEO's house, right by our office. That was where we didn't have an office yet. So yeah. I was with a previous company that I don't believe I was treated too fairly at. And we took my book of business as well, my connections. And he had the knowledge base and background in IT. He's actually a veteran as well. So we combined forces and we hit the ground running because we had to help people right away. And I wanted to let you know that we like to approach this as not reactive medicine.
Yeah.
So like more proactive than reactive.
Sure.
Because we don't want to just wait until you have something happen and then just react then. We want to make sure that it doesn't, right?
Right. Yeah. And when I think about that stat that we opened up with, if men's levels are dropping by 20%, they don't know why they're adding weight, why their confidence low, why they don't feel good, why they're not performing in the bedroom, why they don't feel like they had the same zeal they had 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. And so they might react reactively by, trying to get on some pharmaceutical medication, some antidepressant for something, or, maybe they're drinking because they're just trying to feel good in the moment. Any number of vices are adding up. And when we really think about how testosterone is the fountain of youth for us men, it keeps us younger, keeps us healthier, more enthusiastic, more energetic, and we just feel better, more muscle mass, all those manly things. It is very, responsive and preventative from the standpoint of helping us live longer and live healthier.
Yeah, I think you nailed some really good points there.
And you mentioned something about your partner and the veteran. I know you guys do a ton of stuff with the veteran community. I'd love to just let you kind of riff on this, but the veteran community, how you guys are helping out with it, and really the lack of resources that so many of our veterans are getting, especially when it comes to mental health, and the gap that you guys are looking to close on it.
I love that you stated the mental health portion, because a lot of individuals don't know that you can have other tools at your disposal for help with mental health. We help with things like anxiety, depression. We can help even heal some things like we help with TBI, traumatic brain injury, PTSD, with different types of medications as well. So testosterone can help with that. Absolutely. Especially if you're low. A lot of these guys are having lower testosterone than my grandmother.
Yeah. And thing is, if you're not getting to kind of the root cause of your hormones and doing a comprehensive blood panel, like I think most men should be doing anyway when they get into their, 30s, which I know that you guys do at the start of all your protocols, you don't know what you don't know. And I think that's, one of the main reasons why you'd want to at least look into this. If you're feeling like something's off, is rather than just go to the doctor and get prescribed some pharmaceutical for, mood or any energy, anything like that, like get a comprehensive blood panel and see what might be off with the hormones.
More individuals are finding out more and more about us or clinics like us, to where you don't have to spiral into some type of anything worse, if you will. We're really trying to change individuals' mindsets and let them know that they have different areas for help.
Love that, man. Yeah, I was actually just did a blog post sharing a little bit more about my supplement stack, but I got on TRT about 7 years ago, and it was after 15 years of heavy partying. Before that, it was drinking and staying out late and eating like just garbage. I was always naturally a pretty lean guy, so I was like, you know what? It doesn't look bad in the mirror, and so like I don't really have to take care of my body. Not realizing the long-term effects that it had. And when I first got my blood work done, like 7 years ago, my levels were like 200. So I had like 200. And what's the healthy range for men? Is it like 700 or so?
That's an interesting topic. Without diving too far into it, the labs kind of make up their own ranges. The standard is for the regular American. And what does the regular American do?
Yeah.
They kind of sit on the couch, or, they're not that active. You want to be optimal.
Right.
That's what you were just talking about as well. We don't want to compare ourselves to everybody else, right? We are higher functioning, and I want other people to be higher functioning too. They put us all in the same group of guys, and they want us to be within this range. The range is 280 to about 900 for a lot of these labs as well. So it's a very big range that they just say, hey, you're fine. You don't need anything. You're within these. But how do you feel, right? They never ask how you feel. You're just a number to most physicians. So that's what's one big thing you need to know about as well, is what are your symptoms? Are you feeling the symptoms of low test? Because we like to treat the symptoms even more than the numbers. We have that baseline of the number. But when it comes to symptoms, that's what's most important with how you're feeling.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good thing to pay attention to. I remember the number being low, but I could tell you how I felt. I felt like I had no confidence. My energy was super low. I had extra weight that I couldn't get rid of. I had a hard time putting on muscle, very low sex drive. Like most dudes don't want to talk about this. And I remember what got my attention, as every dude pays attention to this, as soon as I stopped performing the way that I used to perform years before, that's what got my attention. I was like, all right, there's something off. There's something off downstairs. Like, what's going on? And really, I mean, our sex organ is just a indicator of overall health in the body. And I remember when I got the test, at least I had an answer as to why I felt the way I did. But you're right. No one asked me how I felt. It was just like the symptoms started to pop up. And I was like, you know what? I know that I want to perform better. I don't want to be 31, 32 years old, dealing with bedroom stuff and not feeling like, I am where I am, or not being able to be as lean or jacked or as athletic. So yeah, man, I totally get that.
One thing you also want to take a look at is your free testosterone number. So a lot of individuals aren't provided with that type of knowledge as well. So you have two different testosterone readings. We really want to look at the free, and why, my opinion, as to why a lot of physicians don't bring that up is because it's a smaller number. So people are like, ooh, big number. That's what we want to see. Free testosterone is the test that you actually have available in your body to be used. So that's a really big indicator of whether you should raise it or not. So having both of those readings is really important. And then also, you got to check on your prostate number, your PSA, when you have your testosterone reading too. So some of these places are just checking that. And what if you have something going on with your prostate? You don't know. So one thing to remember as well, testosterone replacement does not cause cancer, right? So if you introduce it and you don't have a high PSA number, you should be fine, right? I can say should be, but it could enhance any type of cancer that you have. So that's why it's very important to get your PSA number.
Yeah. And to pay attention to your levels, over time. So, and to build a relationship with a reputable company. So you're getting good, clean products, you're getting regular, consistent blood work, and you're making sure that you're not only feeling good, you're optimizing, but you're making any changes that you need to throughout the time, because our bodies change. Our bodies change over the years. My protocol has changed over the last 7 years. It's definitely a little bit different than just standard TRT, because I want to have kids. And so I think about other supplements like HCG. And, I started working with you guys. You gave me the other one. What's the other one? Enclomiphene?
Enclomiphene, it's a newer form of Clomid. So a lot of guys know about Clomid from the past, but there could be harmful side effects. So we have a newer medication to take with HCGs that's a lot safer.
And both of these help prevent testicular atrophy, increase or maintain your semen levels, so that if we want to have kids, you can still do that. And you're walking proof that is very possible with the right protocol.
Yeah, man. I like to say, keep your swimmer swimming. I like to also say, you make it and you take it. So with HCG and enclomiphene, you make it, you make the testosterone, and then you can take it with exogenous testosterone as well,
right,
to keep the healthy balance.
Tell me kind of the process if someone wanted to work with you guys. What does it typically look like after they this piques their interest? We talk about things, and they're like, maybe I should at least check my blood levels out. What's it look like when they want to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have individuals fill out an intake form. Aaron has an intake form actually, and then we will contact you right away. You'll either have the option to what we call fast track. That's going to get your blood work done. You can pay for script with LabCorp or Quest. We get that sent over to you. You walk in. It takes about 5 minutes to get your blood work done. You walk in, walk out, and then we get the results sent within a week to 10 days. And you go over that with a specialist here. They'll review your blood work with you, and also the physician will review it too over a Zoom. So you put together a protocol based off of your budget, which is really cool. Nothing's cookie cutter here. What your goals are, blood work, physician recommendations, and what we educate you on as well to make that right decision for yourself. So then you get that, you get your medication sent to your doorstep from our top quality pharmacies, and then you get to go. We have all the instructions for you, and you keep in touch with your specialist, your wellness specialist, to let them know about how you're feeling, what your symptoms are, what we talked about.
Yeah, I love that, man. And it's been super easy to work with you guys. And other than the testosterone and HCG, there's a couple other peptides that you've sent out that I've been able to use. And I can definitely say have increased productivity, efficiency, overall wellness, some fun as well. One of them I think is probably my favorite is dihexa. That was a neuro, you can probably explain it better than I can, but it's a neuropeptide that they've been using with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's patients that helps create more neurosynapses. So we think clearer, create longer memory channels inside of our brain and help repair damaged brain cells. I think that's high level, right?
I think you did an awesome job describing that. That's pretty much what it is. We are seeing people with ADHD issues getting help. Some people are getting rid of their Adderall scripts. Of course, memory, anything with attention is huge. So I think it's one of our best ones that we can offer. A lot of people are into the brain game recently. I believe is by far the best thing that is out there.
I've been on it now a little over a month, and it's not like anything like Adderall or stimulant. There's absolutely no stimulating effects. There's just a clearness. There's more energy. There's more mental capacity and focus. I'd say that I feel more alert without feeling stimulated. I've been enjoying taking that.
With peptides too, piggybacking off what you said, it's not going to be a caffeine high. It's not going to be a stimulant like the Adderall. So what they are, if you don't know what peptides are, they're chains of amino acids that kind of can do specific things. They're signalers, right? So if you go to the supplement store, you have your amino acids and you have your proteins, right? These are chains of aminos that make up proteins, and we can do specific things with them. So it is all natural. You do not need blood work for the peptides because they are chains of amino acids. So it's been so fun. There's over 7,000 different peptides. We work with about 30 of them. Just being able to change the game with something new and so specific has been incredible.
Yeah. The other one that comes to mind that both Rachel and I are running is BPC 157. I think it's the Wolverine peptide. It speeds recovery. And so like ligaments, joint tissue. I've had 3 ASO replacements. So I'm always looking for any type of hack whatsoever to try to recover faster. After a long run or workout, how do I get back in the game? This is that optimized living versus just kind of surviving. That's been a game changer too, the BPC 157.
Yeah, you guys, absolutely. both as a couple. I know that it is tremendous for Rachel because of her expertise as well. It's made from the gastric juices in your stomach. So it helps with inflammation as well. So heart health, right? Helps with brain. But we really like to use it for the healing processes and inflammation.
Anti-inflammatory, right? Helps lower inflammation. Yep.
Correct.
I at least want to tee at least one other supplement up that I think a lot of dudes probably don't want to talk about. But the truth of the matter is, as we get older, blood flow in all areas can be one of those things that may not have been anything we had to think about in our 20s. But there's so many great things we can do for the bedroom too that make that area a lot more exciting. One that you sent out, and I had they're little dissolvable tablets that taste like bubblegum, Cialis, which is a blood flow, a vasodilator, helps promote blood flow. I never realized how great it is for the gym. Like the gym pump, like you get in after that, like is insane. It's one of the best like muscle pumps you're ever going to get, which makes a whole lot of sense.
I think that's starting to leak out. I've known about it for a while, about being more of an awesome pre-workout, blood flow throughout the whole body. That's what Cialis is. It's not Viagra, so it doesn't just go right there.
Right,
it helps with everything. It actually helps to lower blood pressure. So that's a really good benefit as well. But I take it daily as well, just because I'm obsessed with vascularity too. And it tastes really good. And what's really cool about what you said is it comes in the troche form. So it dissolves between your cheek and gum. So nothing has to go, it goes directly into the bloodstream. It doesn't have to bypass the liver. It's very fast acting too.
Well, all kinds of hacks, man. I'm gonna be 40 on my next birthday, and I want to approach 40 and 50 and 60 like a 20-year-old. I want to be able to take all the wisdom from my younger years and apply it, and just age more gracefully. Which is, I think, the world that we live in now. You can truly take your health into your own hands. You don't have to wait for the doctors to say that you got this or that. There are companies just like yours that give you all the tools so you can become informed. What I love about what you guys do really well is you give and assign a specialist. And so you can build out your own custom protocol to check in so that it's not just a one and done, like you literally feel like part of the family.
We want to stay true to what we built off of, and that's the high customer service, high value. We want to make sure that you do feel like a family, like you said, and have access to an individual, because typically if you were to go to a standard physician, you can't just reach out right to the physician, right? You have to go through a process, go to the office, get on their schedule, right? But here we have that access through our online portals, which makes it really easy. And to ask any questions, to become more informed, because that's what we want you to do, is make that right decision for yourself too. You don't want someone just sitting there telling you what to do. You want to be educated. You don't want an ad just to tell you that you need just testosterone. You should approach your body as a whole as well. That's why we have thousands of medications to help you, and a trained, knowledgeable staff. So you can make that right decision as well.
Anything that I haven't asked you that our listeners need to know about Transcend, about you, the process?
Again, the peptides do not need blood work. We have some awesome ones for anxiety, depression, ones that actually raise your libido. It's not like a Cialis that actually gets you in the mood. We have ones that stimulate.
Would that work for ladies and for men?
It works for both. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we have ones that tan your skin, HGH type of peptides. So instead of giving your body human growth hormone, you can use your own. And so that's going to help with sleep, fat loss, muscle gain, mood, anything with your whole body. So that helps a lot. Reach out to a wellness specialist to learn more about any of our peptides. We'll be producing more information coming up as well. We have a lot of events coming up that are really cool. We look forward to just spreading our news.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure I drop the link in the bio for this on Transcend and all the background from doing. But the peptides, I think that is a whole new market. A lot of the biohackers, Dave Asprey and Ben Greenfield, they've been on this peptide thing for a while. And your gym rat that knows anything about anything, knows about peptides and the power of those. There are so many things you can do with those. And I love that they are all natural. And so your body can really utilize them as a powerful resource to get better effects, because we don't have to live in a world where we have to deal with premature aging or lack of drive. We can really control so much about our biology by getting more informed.
Absolutely. And just for your listeners, I just want them to think, as you get older, think about this. You are told to just decline. Oh, you're supposed to get old, so you're going to steadily do this. Why would you not want to come up and do this, or even like this? Yeah. That's what you can do when you're putting your health into your own hands. Right. When it comes to peptides, just know you could do some research on peptides and find peptide websites. And that's basically, there's some people making medications in their basement. So when you see, when you buy a bottle of something for $50 online, just know that that is not the best thing that you can put into your body.
And you guys use a professional compounding pharmacy. You've got, I think, a couple facilities. I think one of the neatest things that I found in starting to work with you, HCG, which is a derivative of human, I actually don't know what it stands for, but it keeps the guys pumping and producing sperm and your own natural testosterone. And it's critical for anybody that wants to start a protocol and still have kids, which is definitely something Rachel and I want to do. But I also work with Dr. Gabriel Lyon, and her access to it was like $800 a vial. And so in order to run that throughout the year, like it was going to be pretty expensive to keep that protocol running. And I remember when I reached out to you guys, like, because of the network you have, the compounding pharmacies, that cost is like significantly less.
Absolutely. And I love Gabrielle Lyon. She's incredible. But we do have access to some more affordable type of medications. And that's one of our main goals as well, is to bring a more affordable price to the industry so we can help more individuals. So that's why our blood work is a lot more affordable than most for what you pay for. And our sign-up fee is hardly anything compared to most. I know that we are one of the lowest in the industry.
That's awesome. So if this sparked your interest, guys, I'll drop the link in the bio, but fill out an application, hop on a call with one of the wellness coaches, see, the protocol, how it works out for you. But more so than anything, don't sit back and be passive with your aging, with your fitness, nutrition, your mindset, with the results that you have inside your life. Don't settle for bad mood. Like, don't settle for low energy. Don't, if you want to go after great things, you're a high performer, Jesse. So am I. So is Rachel. Like, we want more from life. We want to extract all of the juice from life, which means we got to be optimized. We got to be dialed in. We got to recover fast. We got to sleep great. And we have to enjoy the time that we have, especially in the bedroom and all other areas of life, to the most of its potential, because that's how we're meant to live.
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head for your listeners. Just make sure you at least get your blood work done to see where you're at, and the appropriate blood work. Don't just go to a physician and say, "Oh, I got my blood work done." You want to check your appropriate hormones to see where you're at, where a lot of physicians don't know how, I would say. And that's not a blanket for everybody. I would just say go to the right specialist. Know your different thyroids to get checked, your different testosterones. Check your inflammation, your heart health. We go far in depth. We get your IGF-1 checked, so your human growth hormone too. But little things like DHEA, like I mentioned, the prostate, make sure that you're getting these smaller things checked and by the right person or right company as well. As far as women, there's specific blood works for women as well.
Awesome. Jesse, man, I appreciate you coming on the conversation and sharing a little bit about your background, everything you're doing. And for all the listeners, fill out an application, reach out to me, follow Jesse and Transcend Company on the Instagram, check out the websites. They have a ton of awesome influencers. They're part of the family, Steve Weatherford and Phil Heath. So badasses out there. They're really pushing this message forward, because you don't have to be passive with your aging, and you can truly take your health in your own hands. All right, guys, this is a double hitter. I've got Brendan, the co-founder and executive director of Transcend Company. He is 19 years in service in the Army, Green Beret, father, husband, all around badass from what I can tell. And also has a pretty awesome story with how him and Jesse met, which he's going to dive into those details. But what I'd really love to talk about, Brendan, is your perspective of being in the military and how much our vets are not given the resources for mental health, for hormone optimization. What does life look like as you're about to get out, and where your company can help close the gap?
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a loaded question. I will try and break that down a little bit more. But to fully explain the kind of help that's been given to the vets right now, it definitely has gotten a little bit better each and every year for about the last 3 to 4 years, maybe 5, getting in there with the mental health side of the house. But I know when I first came in, like I said, going on 19 years, one more, I'm about to retire out. The first 10, 12 years of my career, for sure, as I was seeing a lot of service members get out, mental health was hardly ever talked about. So I know a good portion of that it's definitely becoming a little bit more recognizable. I think military as a whole, from the leadership on down, is definitely starting to address those concerns amongst the troops and everything, whereas it was just pretty quiet prior to that. In the last 5 years, I think the entities have gotten a little bit better with the mental health side of the house as far as addressing those issues. There's still a lot of things that need to get addressed. There's still a lot of things that they're gathering the research, the data on. They're still trying to provide assistance and resources for those things. Definitely needs to get addressed as far as the mental health piece. There's things that need to get better. And that is one of the cool things that we're doing with our company. So when I was starting to get out of service, actually ETS 2018 off active duty, I did about 15 years active duty. And as soon as I ETS out, just prior to that, we actually had a special operations kind of team of doctors, clinician people, dietitians, everyone come out to us. And with my special forces team, they did like a full-blown assessment on everything from dieting to sleep to our fitness protocols, ran our labs pretty extensively, more so than they'd ever done in the military prior, got an in-depth lab panel check on all of our stuff. That was pretty interesting, pretty cool. And they were kind of with us. They were embedded with my special forces team for about 60 days. So it was pretty neat and getting the research and data from those people. And then at the end of the 60 days, it concluded, we basically were kind of sat down by all those doctors and basically told like, hey, this is kind of what's going on with you. So sure enough, they're like, Brendan, sit down. So this is, what we'll go over with you. And I was like, all right, doc, sounds good. So they tell me, they're like, hey, we notice you are low testosterone issues. You have low vitamin D issues, DHEA, thyroid, suboptimal.
So the military's given you some type of baseline of where you're at as you're getting ready to exit?
Well, no, it had nothing to do with me exiting per se. That just happened right around the same time frame. I think at this point in time, this is circa 2018. They were, I think, just wanting to get a lot of data to see where a majority of, special operations guys, I think, were sitting. I believe that was the grand scheme of things of what SOCOM, Special Operations Command, was wanting to do. So I think they were trying to get some data and some baseline numbers on SOCOM operators as a whole and where they stood. And I just happened to be a part of one of those teams during that time frame. So that's what I believe that they were doing, and for good reasons. Concluding that, after I heard all that news and everything, telling me, I'm hypertension, my sleep wasn't that great. They hooked us up to like heart rate and sleep monitors. And upon receiving, all of that information, you're kind of like a little bit discouraged and you're like, oh, okay, well, what do I do from here? Where do I go, doc? And then at that point in time, their mission was to gather the research and data. So obviously they were just like, well, there's nothing we can do about it right now.
So they let you know the problem, but they don't give you a solution.
At that time, yes, that's correct.
Got it. Okay, interesting. Okay.
But that was my first kind of huge wake-up call, learning about the endocrine system, learning about hormonal imbalances and everything. And so it was pretty interesting from that perspective on me learning that about myself. But of course, what was interesting was I realized like how bad off I was, but I was like, all right, let me ask how my buddies are doing. So I'd be like, hey man, how'd you score? What'd you end up doing and everything? And then sure enough, I had several other buddies basically tell me the same thing. They're like, yeah, I was low testosterone, low thyroid. And so we're sharing the information together. And sure enough, it doesn't take me long to string together. I was like, wow, this is kind of a big problem. We're all continuing to operate on, the cutting edge and tip of the spear, but we're almost operating suboptimally.
At a deficit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that is when I realized like, wow, some of these things need to get addressed.
I want to get the timeline. You said that was roughly 2018. Correct. You're getting these diagnostics. You're starting to see all your levels are off. Mm-hmm. They are, and you nailed it perfectly. You're the tip of the spear, but you're operating at a deficit. Your internal operations, your hormones, your thyroid, your testosterone, all these critical nutrients inside of our body, especially for a man that is going to be on the front lines, are at a suboptimal level.
That took me to my transitioning out of the military. It had nothing to do with hormone panel or anything per se. It had everything to do with a lot of just the compounding factors of the multiple deployments that I had. It was getting rough with my marriage and everything. So me transitioning out of the military was definitely for a lot of personal reasons and to mostly better my marriage and kind of rekindle that and strengthen that portion of it up. So we figured eventually leaving the service and moving on to another job and everything was what we were looking at wanting to do for that.
Well, I love that, man. Well, thank you for your service. No. But So now it's 2018 roughly, and you see this big gap from not only you needing to operate at a high level, not having the hormonal balance. Like, what do you do with that information now over the next few years?
That's a great question. And you know what I did with that information? Not a whole lot. I, like probably most people, as soon as I transitioned out, I immediately went into the government contracting sector, where I was then a government contractor a little bit, continuing to deploy multiple times overseas. So doing the exact opposite of what I set out to do to kind of help, strengthen my marriage and everything, and not go over multiple deployments. Eventually, I started deploying even more so on a shorter frequency level. Surprisingly, my wife was actually on board with that. So there were only a couple month deployments, whereas 6 to 12 monthers obviously was a lot more difficult for not only really my wife per se, but the kids.
Sure.
But these 2 month short deployments where I was 2 months on, 2 months off was actually not bad and very doable for my wife, and not so bad on my kids either. So that was a lot more doable. So she was, accepting and gave me the permission to do that. But I went another 4 years knowing that information of what I knew about the hormonal and adequacies and everything, but I didn't really do much about it. And then this will take us into how I actually met Jesse. So during that government contracting time, we eventually left out of Afghanistan. And so a lot of the contracts shut down. So I was on one of the contracts that shut down after Afghanistan closed. And basically I was kind of jobless for a little bit. And so I was just, figuring out what I was going to do for the next chapter of my life. So I went about 2 or 3 months, not really having a job, not really knowing what I was going to do next. And then I was just in the gym, and sure enough, an old high school buddy of mine comes up, Jesse Kessler, and he approaches me in the gym, and he's just out of nowhere. He's like, "Quiz?" And I was just like looking at him, and I was like, "I recognize you, but I don't know you." And sure enough, and everyone calls me Quisenberry, Quiz for my last name was Quisenberry, right? So everyone knows that. And so Jesse's like, "It's Jesse Kessler." And at this point in time, this is what's hilarious, because taking it back to high school, me and Jesse ran track and field together, and he was actually 2 years behind me. So I was junior, senior on the varsity track, and he was just a freshman, but a really good athlete, really good kid. So me and him kind of hit it off in track, but he was a skinny little guy. I want to say buck 45 maybe.
Okay.
A good day.
He's not that guy anymore.
Definitely not. So he approaches me in the gym, to the Jesse that we know today. He says, "It's Jesse Kessler." And I look up at him immediately, and I'm just like, "No, it's not. This is the guy that ate Jesse Kessler." He was just massive and really fit, looking really good and everything. And then so sure enough, he's like, "Man, we got to grab a beer and catch up." And so we did. We hit lunch off, and ironically, he tells me how he is co-founder of a hormone replacement therapy company. I thought that was really interesting. So right away,
how ironic.
Completely ironic. And we went out to lunch. We discussed that. I shared him my story, to which I just shared you. And it was crazy. He's like, "You know what? That's incredible." He's like, "You have to meet my owner, Ernest Collins." And he's just like, he's an Army vet as well. You guys will hit it off. And so I eventually, met up with Ernie. And then between me, Jesse, and Ernie, we basically were all talking about, all these issues and how they weren't really getting fixed or dealt with in the military. And basically we had the idea of basically coming up with a foundation for addressing these issues for service members in service.
I love that, man. That is a full arc. So 2 things I want to get further detail on. 1, I want to know more about the foundation, and 2, how do you feel after optimizing your hormones? And maybe we start with that second question. Do you feel difference between 2008 version of you when they diagnose, all right, you're tip of the spear, get on the front lines, be confident, be aggressive, be assertive, burn the candle at both ends, but pull from a deficit. Like, do you notice a difference in your physiology, your biology, your sleep, your energy, all that stuff? Question number 1. And then question number 2, tell me about the foundation.
Absolutely. So I'm about to be 37 here in the next month. And this is the best I've felt in my life. Hands down, absolutely. I got on protocols about, it's like February now. So, about 9 months ago. And the 9 months, my protocols have been really good. As I alluded to, the same issues that I talked about that I was suboptimal in 2018, that those doctors had told me my data and my lab panels at that time, lo and behold, those were the same things when I ran my blood work and tests through Transcend. They were still suboptimal. So, over time, it didn't really change. In fact, it probably got worse.
Yeah.
And so my testosterone was, I think, like 210 or something like that. It was just absolutely terrible. But since I've been on protocols for the last 9 months now, I've gotten back up. My sleep's been really good. My, especially putting on a little bit more size. I'm not trying to put on a lot of size, but my muscle mass, the fact that I've just optimized my testosterone just back into a normal baseline of, mid 30s to late 30s guy should be at a healthy guy is it's made me feel really good. And so, no, I'm feeling great. The protocols have really helped me out. Not just on the physical side of the house, but also the mental health side, and the clarity and some of the peptides that we have to offer here have really helped. Like keep you sharp. I had TBI with the military as well, so there was just residual effects where you can kind of forgetting things, very common with TBI, and so some of our medications is pretty good about not being able to forget a lot of that stuff. So it's awesome. It's been able to help me out on that realm.
That's awesome. All right. So part 2, tell me about the foundation. Now that you are equipped with an awesome team, how are you giving back?
Yeah, absolutely. So the foundation, again, knowing what Ernest and myself knew about the military, about how many service members, hormone levels were suboptimal. And majority of the times, we knew that Transcend was already on something as a whole. Transcend company as a whole was already on something with addressing a lot of the endocrine systems and the hormone replacement therapy side of the house. They were doing some great stuff. So me and Ernie knew that we needed to be able to eventually give back to the service members and then open it up to also first responders as well, to eventually be able to bring on people, critical and ongoing support, individuals first and foremost, guys that really need it, guys that are on, the front lines, or veterans that are really struggling with this stuff, bringing them in on board, getting them their labs tested, getting them their blood works and their protocols, their first wave protocols completely on us. And so we're taking them in on case by case basis. Let me make that, clear. It's not just everyone, free running coming into the foundation. But the priorities right now are the people that need it the most, and then pending the amount of donations and everything that continue to come in, we'll be able to open up a wide array of bringing in a lot more veterans, first responders, and their families, at no cost to them. That's the end state, and at least being able to not only get their labs identified and get them back to baseline, get them back to homeostasis. That's what we want to do, and get them going, onto the next chapter of their life, where they can then optimize other areas in their life for holistic health and getting them back on the front lines, whether they're still operating in the military or they're still out there serving as a firefighter or a police officer. We want them as healthy as possible.
I love that, man. That is that's a beautiful mission. It's a very service oriented, and the biggest thing that I think that we really need to lean into is getting people to a state of homeostasis, a baseline, like just a normal level. Without getting too deep into the weeds on how stress affects our body, but being under high stress, high cortisol levels, that adrenaline, that fight or flight, especially if you've been deployed, that is taxing on the nervous system. And you're depleting your hormone, your testosterone, you're completing your ability to really rest and relax. And so you're going to be constantly in this fight or flight, which causes all kinds of issues, not only just from, relationship issues, but confidence issues, but also more so than anything, just self-esteem, and which is a big effect. And so many of our guys, our veterans, come back and they don't have a healthy way to get back to that homeostasis. And then vices, the suicide rate for veterans is through the roof. Drinking, drugs, alcohol, all that stuff. And it just becomes this bigger issue because they're not at the baseline. They're not at a state of homeostasis where they can at least feel good throughout the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I want to address one more thing. The foundation's also trying to create that awareness piece. That is the biggest thing. So a lot of people, especially veterans, service members that are currently in, right, we are trained to just suck it up and drive on. We're operating with a little bit of brain fog, with adrenal fatigue, with just, not that type of motivation to go to the gym because, testosterone levels are severely depleted and everything. Most service members don't even realize and understand that there's an issue going on because they're just suck it up, drive on, drink more water and keep going, right? Like they don't even know to get their labs checked or see if something is off. So creating the awareness piece is one thing with the foundation, and being able to drive that message out to, active duty military, to the veterans of the community, and then to first responders as well. is our biggest thing. So creating the awareness is one. The second thing that we're doing is a partnership piece as well, where we're working with other foundations to be able to address the veterans and first responders' health from a completely holistic standpoint. So Transcend Company does a very good thing of addressing the endocrine system and fine-tuning some of the hormone replacement therapies and everything for the veteran or service member. That's one good thing that we're going to do. And we're going to get that person back to baseline on that note. We're good at doing that, but we're also good at partnering with other organizations, with mental health organizations that are out there right now. We're working with a few different ones where now these service members can get the help that they need if they're struggling with mental health issues. If they come to us through the foundation and we're able to balance their hormones back out, which I know we will, but a service member or a law enforcement officer is still struggling with some other mental health side of the house, we can then send them over to one of our partners and they can get some further on added help in another area that might not be the best that we specialize in, but because of that mesh network that we're trying to create, that complete holistic health for the veteran first responder, they can go seek those other additional resources that we can provide them.
You're closing the gap, but when they get out, they're closing the gap between health, wellness, and really thriving. I think so many people, just like you said, especially if you are, you've served in the military, you just suck it up, buttercup, when you're not feeling good. Like you just fight through it. And the thing is, when you get out of your service contract, you don't have to keep fighting. Like you should be able to enjoy life. You should be able to enjoy the time with your kids. And if your hormone levels are not at a static state where you can have some type of dependability in how you're feeling throughout the day, you're always going to feel in the fight, which causes so much conflict. We coach a lot of men with our different programs. We hear a lot of conflict from first responders and veterans' wives who have a hard time reconnecting with the person. But from a biological level, if the hormones aren't dialed in, it's going to be very difficult to be as present as you want to be with the wife and the kids. And so this is a beautiful foundation, great work. I'm so happy to be, partnered with you guys, from the Transcend side and excited to see you guys continue to grow this mission, helping veterans really close the gap. If they want to learn more about the Transcend Foundation, is it on the Transcend Company website?
As far as the information, no. So November 11th, and this is great, we'll be able to launch this onto your podcast right now. November 11th, we're doing a soft launch for Veterans Day. It's going to be, the webpage will go up. It will just be basically one page, the mission statement of what we're doing. And then we're going to have like our icons of LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, some of those things where they can go get the additional information. But we're hoping within the next 30 to 45 days, the official full-blown webpage will be launched and built out. So I'm currently working on that with another one of our professionals right now to getting that up and going. So I'm hoping to have that webpage completely up and launched within the next month and a half. But until then, November 11th, we do a soft launch with the webpage and everything that will give additional information for what's up and coming next.
That's awesome. Well, by the time this airs, it'll be after your launch, but I feel blessed that I got to be able to be on the front lines and really see and hear what's coming out. I know you guys are going to be doing great work. Brendan, thank you for your service. Thank you for this great conversation. I know that this is going to help us serve a lot of guys. I know they're going to reach out to you via the application link, which we'll put in the bio, learn more about the Transcend Foundation. Obviously, there's a couple ways they can get involved and help with the foundation. Donations, I imagine, would probably be very helpful in that regard, but also to spread the awareness and the message that you don't have to suffer in silence. I think that's probably the greatest thing is you don't have to suffer in silence. Jesse and I were talking about this. You don't have to just settle for, what you've been given. You can literally take your health into your own hands. So if you're dealing with symptoms, if you're not feeling as good as you should, if you're not as optimized, you're not as energetic, you don't feel like you are where you need to be, like go get the levels tested, go get your body checked out.
Yes.
And because from what I hear, there's not enough support yet in our veteran transition to give them all the resources. And so you have to become an advocate for your own health. Well, thank you, Brendan. I appreciate you taking time out of your day and for hopping on. This is going to be a great conversation. It's going to serve a lot of people. I'm excited to introduce more people to you guys, especially the veterans out there that are struggling. And we'll be putting all these show notes as well as the link for the Transcend Foundation as well as the Transcend application inside of the bio. And if there's anything else you'd like to share with the guys?
No, stay tuned. We got quite a few different events getting ready to come up. And there's some really good partnerships, further on partnerships that are currently in the works, but they're almost solidified. That is, again, going to continue to build out that complete holistic help to help the veteran first responders. So a lot more is coming here soon.
I love it. All right. Well, stay tuned to that, guys. Much love, many blessings, and boom.